Hi guys, it's Tundra Techs. I'm here today to talk to you about the FRAC harness and an installation. And with me to assist in this installation,
4x4 Angel.
4x4 Angel, the one and only from Tundras.com. If you've been on that site, you've no doubt had a conversation or 2 or 10 with her. So she's going to do most of the work. I'm going to look over her shoulder as we go through this thing. We're going to show you guys every step it takes to install this harness, from putting the front camera in, to installing the wiring, to getting the harness in, to getting this thing working. So, before we do that, let me talk to you about the harness a little bit. Okay, so this is the FRAC harness, and we're going to go through a couple of the components so that you understand as we install what each of these parts does and how it works in the truck. So this is the overall harness. We'll get into that in a minute. There are 2 switch wire bundles that come off of the main harness. There's a 2-conductor switch line that is for the vehicle in motion or VIM enable switch. That is a single position, single pole, single throw rocker switch. And then we have an on-off-on single pole double throw rocker switch for the camera select function. And that hooks up to a 3-wire harness that comes off of the main FRAC harness. We've got connectors here that tie into the head unit, and then the vehicle harnesses that are normally in the head unit will plug into the FRAC harness, and we intercept all the signals we need, go into the head unit to do the camera select functions. There's some circuitry here. It's protected by some shrink wrap. This is where the video inputs come in from the aft camera, which is existing on the vehicle, and out to the head unit. This port's where we're going to install the input from the front camera video line, which we'll get to when we install the camera. And then lastly, we have a power wire. This provides 12 volts for the front camera, so we'll be bringing front camera video and power to the FRAC harness once it's installed, and that'll power up your front camera and allow you to do all the functions we need to with that. So we've discussed the harness components. Now let's talk about the last components we have left, and that is the camera itself. So this is a front camera that's designed to mount inside the Toyota logo on the TRDs and any of the trucks that have the logo. This is a great camera. It securely mounts in the center. It's really kind of inconspicuous, and it works really well. So the camera outputs come to this really small connector here, and it takes its power input and ground, and it sends video out through this connector. That connector ties into this jumper, which extends to a splitter to break out the power and the video. We'll break this wire apart, put the ground onto a grounding lug inside the engine bay, and then we will connect the red line from there into the red line on this extension cable and run the whole connection, the RCA and power, into the truck through the firewall grommet. So you'll see that later on. Once we get to the head unit, the power line will have the spade connector attached to it, and will attach to the FRAC harness front camera power spade connector, and then the camera video will plug into the open RCA on the circuit board within the FRAC harness. So Angel's going to remove her grill now.
Just removing the 4 bolts and then the two brackets on the ends.
So we've got 2 clips in the upper part of the grill on each side, and then a lower clip and a guide pin that helps locate the grill when we reinstall it. Okay, so let's get this camera installed. The camera comes with a retaining nut and a back plate. You have to remove those in order to get the camera into the logo, and then screw it onto the camera. So we've got the nut finger tight on here. Now this is a plastic back plate, so you don't want to over tighten it and crack that plate. Doesn't need a whole lot, about a 1/4 turn or less, maybe an 1/8 turn will secure that in place. Now we're going to clean it up with some Windex.
That's horrible. It's chrome.
Give us a place to put the zip tie anchors so they'll stick to the grill, not the dirt. And then we'll take the camera, power, and video cable, attach them to the anchors so that they'll stay in place. Alright, so we're going to hook the camera harness up to the splitter cable. There's a 4-pin connector that carries power, ground, and video positive and negative. There's a keyed slot here so it fits into this connector one way. Put that in nice and snug, and then we've got some heat shrink. Keep it weather tight and keep it from falling apart. That's it. Okay, so we made the connection between the camera harness and the splitter harness. The splitter harness will take the 4 pins from the camera, split it out to video, power, and ground, and then we've got to connect that to the extension cable that will run into the cabin. So we're going to do that. It takes a little bit of soldering, a little bit of taping, and we'll be off and running. So we're going to solder this power line together. We've twisted the ends after we strip the 2 wires. We're going to solder that and then insulate it with some heat shrink. You want to get the wire hot first and the solder flow to it. Okay, once these connectors are put together, you really want to put some heat shrink on them to hold them in place. We didn't have any big enough here, so we're using some painter's tape just temporarily. So we're going to go through this lower nipple there. So this is a sealed bulkhead, rubber bulkhead connector. We're going to cut that rubber tip off and then feed the video cable through. We'll fish a hanger from the other side and then attach it with some tape and pull it through. There's a hole up here that the cable's going to go through, but it's smaller than the diameter of the connector. So I've got to make a star cut in the rubber, 2 crossing slots, so that it'll push through. We'll be able to get that RCA connector through there. Well done.
Got it. There we go. There we go.
Make sure we got all the clips.
Okay,
good. Oh, nice.
There you go.
Stayed.
Now see that upper yellow retainer clip stayed in the dash. So we need to pull that out, reattach that to the head.
There.
All right. Through, get it nice and tight.
Get it straight through here.
Yeah, exactly. So you got it. This is why we do the passenger side. So much easier. Come up into the hole there, so just basically slide it till the wire's flush with the
Right there. Okay. Squeeze for everything you got. Alright. Let's see what that looks like.
those bottom ones out. Okay. Now those will plug into these two guys. Click.
Not yet. That one did. That one. That's in there.
Yeah, in there?
Yep.
Now the other end goes up into the where you disconnected the first two. So this, yeah, you have to bend it around a little bit.
You can go this way. Second goes on that side. There.
We're in. The video line from that we fed through there, wherever the end of it is, right here,
Up here.
gets plugged into the open RCA on that circuit board there. Okay. And then the power wire hooks up there. It's a tight fit in that socket, so it kind of takes a little finagling.
It's out of focus. Okay.
There you go. Get both these clips open, and then now you can pull that one above it out. It's also just held in the clips. There you go.
Do 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 do.
Beautiful. Done.
Hey, red, white, and blue.
Order of these wires is important. The blue wire goes,
Right there.
yep,
Which is right there.
yep. The red one goes in the center. Now, look at that red one, because sometimes that can slide between the plastic and the, yeah, it's not really in the teeth there. And $10 if you can guess where the last one goes.
$10, that's it. Cheap around here.
Okay. To put the dash sign at the top, because that's forward. And the equal sign at the bottom, because that's reverse. Same drill. Feed the wire through the hole. And it doesn't matter which wire goes to which pin on this switch.
They're both green.
Make sure you're in the jaws of the
Put it in the hole.
connector there, not beside the hole, in the hole.
Beside the hole doesn't get the job done.
Exactly.
There we go.
Perfect. Snap that.
Can see. You can be like that. That's good.
Now, push your camera select switch up.
Oh, look at that. Whoop whoop.
Push it down. You will need to start it to do this, because we want to make sure that the reverse selector is working right. So with the front camera selected, put on the brake and then shift it into reverse. And the rear camera comes on, overriding the front camera without having to mess with the switch. on the top first, and then I'll just go in there. Sweet as you be.
Oh, it almost like Toyota. We should zip tie that little greenie.
Here. This goes there, and this goes here. Alright. And zip tie.
I'd do it right up that main harness there. Yeah.